Be alive, and here we are, just like that. Ryan Ray alongside the one, the only Ryan Ray. No, kidding. Ben Samuels. Ben Samuels, come on down. It's good to see you again, sir. Talk to you. It's nice of you to show up. For folks who don't know, when you watch this quality content, you might think these guys probably spend hours prepping for the show. They're back there, Venn diagrams, flow chart, org chart, whiteboards. Like the what's that? The show Sunny and Park and Rec, where the guys got the board up with all the little push pins. You might envision that is going on. However, this is off the cuff as Ben rolls in 55 seconds before the show starts, and we hit go. So whatever you get, that's the amount of prep work that was put into it. And if you're amazed by that, then thank you. If you're disappointed, then lower your expectation because Ben doesn't show up more than a minute early. So there it is. Good to see you, Ben. Good to see you.
I'm not entirely sure that we shouldn't cut that minute and make that the intro to every show, because if that doesn't codify, don't let the facts that was phenomenal. Well done. Well played. Golf cap. Well played. Unbelievable.
You like that?
Well, I don't know if I go all the way to like. Like is strong. Hey, listen, I'm learning from the master here. One of the two of us has a top 2 all-time podcast in Kazakhstan. One of the two of us, and the one of us that does likes to not prepare. And so I'm just kind of jumping in with both feet here and just following the master. I'm following the guru. We should all take notes.
Thank you for that. I appreciate that.
You're welcome. No problem. I don't know how to say that in Kazakh, unfortunately, or whatever language they speak in Kazakhstan. I was going to say something like Farsi, but I don't know if that's accurate. But
they obviously speak English because they listen to my show.
I just figured you had it syndicated in 97 languages because that's kind of that's just the playing field you're playing on. I mean, I don't know.
If there is someone in Kazakhstan who's literally taking my words and translated them to the local dialects, I do appreciate it. I do appreciate it. I'm gonna say right now, it's your work is noted and appreciated. So, okay, so Ben, it is December 14th, 2020. Just a few weeks left until we flip that beautiful calendar over, and it says 2021, and nothing in the world changes except for how you sign your checks. Which the only checks I've been signing in 2020 are the ones that are outgoing, not the ones I've been receiving. That trend continues into 2021. So.
Somebody, I was in a meeting a while ago, and this was early in my career, and somebody said, he goes, it's a much better position to be in to sign the back of the check than the front. And it took me a while to really digest what that meant, because it's easy to think about. It's oh yeah, well, if I'm signing the back, but it's I don't know. It just took a while for that really to sink in, but yeah, I think there's definitely something to that because, certainly this year I've got my autograph on a lot of checks, most of them on the front of the check, which is,
even better than signing the back of the check is when you wake up and there's money just deposited to your account. That's the zen. That's when you peaked in life. You just wake up, the money's there. You don't have to sign anything. But I would take signing the back of the checks right now. So
I mean, it's not 2018 anymore.
Oh, wow. Aggressive, are we?
Well, that was just a market commentary, but you can take it personally if you'd like.
Well, I mean, everything's personal today, okay? Listen, it's speaking of market, I think we were going to talk about the market. I have got a stock to buy, I think. Possibly. This show is, hold on, let me put this up here. This show is called, what's the show called? Don't Let the Facts. This show is for entertainment purposes only. Please consult your CPA, your lawyer, a local judge, the NSA, the CIA, Trump, and Biden, depending on where you fall on that spectrum. And
real quick, before he goes any further, just also make sure that everyone listening realizes that this is Ryan Ray's voice that is speaking and going to be talking about this. But keep going. Go ahead.
I'm just saying the show is called Don't Let the Facts. So if you do this, anything on the show could be completely misconstrued as as a joke. So just take that for what it's worth. Ben Samuels, I know we want to talk about this from two perspectives. One is you are mad at these people. I love these people. Disney, buy Disney stock today. All the stocks are overinflated. All of them are too pumped up. I agree. But if you're going to buy one, Coca-Cola, okay, buy Coca-Cola because who doesn't love Coke? Take that for what it is. Two, buy Disney.
Are you buying Disney because it finally came out that they were like using artificial intelligence to paint masks onto people in security camera footage? Is that what you're talking about?
No, I have no idea what you're talking about.
I don't know. I saw some story that apparently Disney had gotten caught. They had like put out a bunch of security footage supposedly showing how many people were wearing masks, but apparently they had they had used like CGI to put the masks over a bunch of those people, and it was like found out. It's some big scandal. I'm sure you're talking about the bastardization of the Star Wars trilogy that's being undertaken here. Disney came out and said, "What are they? Thank you to whoever Man United for the win is."
Listen, this is Man United is one of the best listeners that I know. The fact that he typed in "LOL Ben," he must be laughing at you, not with you. So
I'll take it, however it comes. Yeah. I will take 100%. Thank you. Laugh at me, laugh with me, laugh because of me. Any of these things. I mean, hey, listen, we can take the next hour if you'd like. So let me preface this with I'm a very hardcore. I'm a believer in the original 9. I'm a believer in the Lucasfilms. George Lucas. That sort of ilk of the storyline. Disney has already taken it and commercialized it beyond. I think beyond recognition, if I'm being fair, or if I'm being honest, I don't know if that's fair. But yeah, now they're gonna release another 10 movies on top of the Mandalorian subseries. Which, Ryan, do you have a standalone podcast? Is it just on Mandalorian, or is it Star Wars in general?
Yeah, Hey Mando, HEYMANDO, Hey Mando. So, but hold on, Ben. Let's talk about this. It's not only so from a stock perspective, their stock. Listen, all stocks are up. So if you're thinking from a value perspective, it's trading right now at $1.69. Okay, so will it drop back down to 85 like it did in March? Probably not. I don't know. I don't know. But it's paid a dividend twice a year for 40 straight years, something like that. And it's not just oh, wow. Okay, I thought this guy was intelligent. I thought he was. I thought he was a good listener.
Thank you, sir.
I thought he was, but
he's clearly your most intelligent listener. I don't know about the rest. I don't know about the rest of the stuff you said. He clearly gets it.
Okay, well, we're gonna have to talk about Man United. We'll have to come back to you because this is going to derail me from my stock pick of the day. But whatever. Sometimes you bring out the worst in people, Ben. It's like you bring out the worst in people. Here's a guy who is a good listener, been around for a while, and then here you go with your nonsense, and you just corrupt people. So
he just proved why he's a good listener. I don't know what the problem is here.
Okay, can I do my stock pick, please? Can I do my stock pick? Thank you. It's not just the 10 series with Star Wars. They have all this FX content, Fox. They have all these networks that they have under their banner now. They are going to position themselves as one of the top streaming networks. They're going to put pressure on Amazon Prime. They're going to put pressure on Netflix. They're going to put pressure on Peacock, CBS. All of these other groups are going to feel the pressure of Disney. And while their stock is overinflated, it's safe to say, hear me out, it's safe to say the worst year in Disney theme park history is in front of us or behind us.
It's safe to say the worst year in Disney.
Well, is that good enough? You got to hear it twice? You got to listen to it twice?
I don't know what just happened. Say that. Say the worst year in Disney what?
The worst year in Disney theme park history has happened.
Yes.
So they're expanding their streaming platform. They have like 68 million subscribers. Their worst year in company history for theme parks is there. They've laid off like 40,000 people, 30,000 people, whatever it is. It's only up and to the right. Again, I expect all stocks to have a reset. I don't know when that is, but assuming it doesn't happen, now is why you get on the Disney train and you buy that sucker up, and there we go. And now here we go. Yeah, this is one. This.
So no, I think you're right. I think it's so, I think it's well, actually, what I just put on the screen there, I mean, I think that's really what it is. If you look at Disney as a company, I mean, they've clearly pivoted to a digital platform model, right? And if you look at the numbers, I mean, it is unbelievable. I think that they launched 14 months ago, 15 months ago, something like that, and I'm sorry.
Yeah, pretty recent. Sorry, I was saying pretty recent. Yeah.
Something like that. And I think they were expecting to be at like 15 to 20 million subscribers at this point, and they're either tipping over or right at 80 million, and they're now talking about having 220 to 230 million subscribers on the platform in the next 4 or 5 years. And they took don't quote me on this, but they price hiked a dollar. I think it went from $6 a month to $7 a month. And so when you're talking about if you're talking about 80 million subscribers, you can do the math. I mean, you're talking about a not insignificant number, and that's that doesn't even touch the fact that they also own ESPN, so you have ESPN Plus and et cetera. And so, I mean, it's been a phenomenal pivot, and I mean, I think you're right. I think to the degree that that your thesis is by Disney. The face that I made when you said that, if anyone's watching the feed here, was more of a face just sort of derision about the decoupling from reality of the entire market. It has nothing to do with Disney itself. I think Disney itself is a strong buy. And I agree, and I think that it's interesting that they, like you said, they pay a steady dividend. They've been around for a long time, but they are incredibly cash healthy. They have They also have an immense growth trajectory, which you don't really see for businesses that are qualified as like stable and long term, like they are. So no, I'm with you.
Okay, so I guess he's asking about the price. Let's see here. About Disney. So I think I don't know if you saw today, New York is warning about lockdowns, like April type lockdowns again coming. And so let's put the vaccine, whatever you think about the vaccine, on the side for a second. It's kind of hard to right now believe that we're not going to have some rough economic woes ahead of us over the next 2 or 3 months, right?
Yeah, I mean, one of the things that we talked about a bunch on the other podcast, we bring in the closers, haven't really gotten into this one, is that we're sitting here in December of 2020, and at the end of the day, this is a strong statement, and we can dig into it as much or as little as you'd like, because if you want to continue talking about Disney. But Trump has done and the Trump administration has done a phenomenal job of pumping up the economy and sort of giving this false narrative of this booming economy, and all the chips are about to fall, and whether they fall in in the next 6 months or 12 months or 20 months or 30 months, like I couldn't tell you, but inflation is a real thing. Depressions are a real thing. Supply and demand are real things, and we've sort of been living in this economy and this ecosystem that all of those things don't actually exist. And reality is going to hit at some point, and I mean that's going to mean tens of millions of more jobs lost. That's going to mean people going hungry. I mean that's going to mean some really, really nasty things in this country, much less the more impoverished nations across the country. So yeah, I don't know.
That's why I like Disney stock, though, because historically their model has been based upon coming to the theme park. Of course, the toys and the movies and stuff. But now they're shifting to this online digital platform where it's $9, $10 a month, whatever it is. I don't know. We have it, but I don't know what the price is. It's not that much. And so I think that they are set again. I think that they are in a good position. But to the point, I think all stocks are due for some kind of reset, except for Tesla, because Tesla never seems to have a reset for anything. Ben, do you want to take this one here? If you want to play return back to parks, I will get into beaten energy names. If you want to play return back to parks, I'll get into beaten. I'm not sure I'm following on this one. Are you?
That's actually the same thing I was going to say. I'm not sure I follow.
Okay, so maybe how that we'll respond to it in a second. I think my point is that whereas I don't want to pick on an oil and gas company, but oil and gas company X right now who's struggling because of low oil prices. Their ability to pivot is very hard. Disney was pivoting pre-COVID, and now they're in a better spot. I think the point I was trying to make. I'm not sure what to address here, but if you send us a note, we'll pull it up. So, what?
No, nothing. I was actually waiting for you to respond to what I said, but I guess I'll pile up. No, just the market in general, and just kind of what we're.
Yeah, I agree. That's what I said. They're all due for I think all the stocks are overinflated. They're due for some kind of setback, and so I think trying to pick. Listen, it's entertainment purposes only. Trying to pick stocks in this environment is really tough. But looking at companies and how they're going to survive, you have to have companies that are going to survive through different means than they probably have historically, or their historical business is one that you expect to stay the same, throughout what's coming. So, as far as your larger point about the market, it's going to depend on, the reason the Fed model works is because everyone globally believes the Fed model works, right?
Less people today than 10 years ago, but sure.
Yes, right. But the people who matter believe it works. The ones that are influential, the elite want it to work. Now,
sure.
How long do they have a grip on power to kind of perpetuate the myth? I don't know.
No, but I mean, I appreciate what you're saying, but I mean, I think, and not to cut, I apologize for cutting you off, but I think the problem with that narrative is that what I'm saying is that this is not a this has been happening for a long time, and the market's going to reset, and this has been intentionally driven, and this is these factors weren't just they didn't just evolve because the economy evolved that direction. I mean,
sure.
And so actually never mind. In my head I keep thinking to myself that that you're not not aggressively pro Trump, but I keep having to tell myself that that's not the case. So never mind.
What's my stance on Trump now?
You have a. I mean, you and I have talked about this off air. You have an issue with being able to say something explicitly negative.
I'm Ryan. I have a problem.
You have a problem with being able to say something without qualification or qualifiers, being able to say something negative towards Trump and about his administration. And so, when I just said the things about the market, when I just said the things about the market, you try to make it as a larger this is just the market at play and the Fed. This is, I mean, it's explicitly because of what he has done and the things that he and his, I shouldn't say he and his administration, he and his cronies have done. And I mean, to kind of whitewash that narrative of just that's just what we were dealing with the last 4 years. I think is a disservice to the facts.
Okay.
Keep in mind that don't let the facts.
We're gonna fist fight this episode. That's good. We've been needing to fist fight for an episode, and we're gonna fist fight this one. The problem is we're gonna fist fight and we agree. This is okay. Let me tell you something. Let's talk about the Fed. Okay, let's talk about the Fed. First off, I think the Fed is an abomination, and they probably should be tried on war crimes and treason. They script the economy more than anyone else. But that's not a uniquely Trump issue. That's a issue under Obama and an issue under Bush, and while we had the housing bubble, all of those things are from the Fed. So that's just not Trump. What I was trying to say is that why do emerging markets take Chinese dollars is a question that you have to ask yourself. And when you answer that question, what you realize is because they want to perpetuate, they want to prop up this what?
You just did it again. So let me be a lot more specific. What I'm talking about is if Trump had actually put together in 2016, if he had actually put together a healthcare plan that made sense, that would have been an economic driver that would have helped people. This year, if he had, rather than spending 12 months trying to spin COVID and trying to ignore all of the warning signs, if he had tackled it head on and been upfront about the things that he was hearing and knew. That's the crazy thing. Now in hindsight, we know what he knew about masks and the fact that they were helpful, but not really. He knew that shutdowns were going to be mandatory. He knew all of these things, but it was just about narrative, and to let the narrative stand. And this is an issue that I think that maybe we shouldn't air on the podcast as much. But I mean, I like for my own benefit, because like it maddens me. I don't know why this is funny. It maddens me that this country has just sort of like adopted, like there's people in this country that still will like say to your face that they think COVID is a hoax and doesn't even exist. Now I think
Okay,
it gets
hold on,
lost.
okay, hold on. I gotta stop right there. There is Michael Lynch or whatever. He's an oil and gas economy, I think Lynch. And this buffoon before the election was on Twitter like, well, the amount of people that believe the South was a lost cause still leads me to believe that Trump could win re-election. Okay, I don't know how many people. I've lived in the South my whole life. I don't know how many people believe in the lost cause narrative. It ain't many. If there is a lot, they're all kind of hiding pretty quietly. 35 years old, been here my whole time. What I will say to you is that there are some, but you know what? As a bigger group, it's people who tell me that the world's going to end every 4 years because of climate change. And this guy is out. So I got a little bit of problem. I don't know how many people are saying that COVID is a hoax and don't believe it's real. There are some. There are far more people who believe stuff that is categorically false and has been proven false for multiple times, and no one ever gets mad about that. We say these 3% of the population who thinks coronavirus is a hoax. I don't know anyone.
I appreciate what you're saying, but that's not my point. That is actually that's the counter argument to my point. That's the exact opposite of what I'm trying to prove. What I'm trying to prove is people are stupid enough to believe anything. They will believe what they are told by the people in power.
They're listening right now, so yes.
If the people in power are going to espouse factual inaccuracies that they know to be false in order to control the narrative, I have a problem with that in any form whatsoever. Hold on, whatsoever at all. And so what I was saying before is, I don't know why this is funny. What I was saying before is that when Trump and his administration, and this is his press secretary through the Republicans, and this is everybody, not just Donald, but when they stand up and say things that are patently false, that like if anyone can look at like the facts and be like, no, that's actually factually inaccurate, but they continue to say those things, that is a wanton disregard for the duty of office. And I don't think it should be whitewashed of, oh, well, the left is just as bad, or, oh, well, Cuomo did this random thing and that's just as shitty. That just because like the whole campaign that Trump ran was draining the swamp, and he has made it so much worse. And now he's weaponized the right to, I mean, you have the entire right, including senators and hundreds of them, in like signing on to completely bullshit lawsuits. That I mean, like think about the dynamic of the Supreme Court not even addressing the case. There's 3 judges that the guy himself put on the bench. Not one of them would utter a single word in the decision. I mean, like these things are not gray. This is not like, these are incredibly unambiguous things that like. I mean, you're laughing, but again, I don't understand this drive to just sort of, oh well, just because the left is just is pretty fucking shady, let's ignore the rest. I'm not saying you're saying that, but I mean, like that's
say that. Okay, so first off, we got a couple comments to get to. This is back, but think about that though. How much money the Fed has printed? I don't have the numbers in front of me. Agreed. Insane. Yes, that's ridiculous. Yes, we are agreed that. The rich increased the net worth. We all got a pesky 1,200 when they printed 30K per person. Yeah, so I on the net worth deal, one thing that frustrates me is that Bezos and Amazon made a ton of money. Now, the reason they made money is because the government steered business their way, not directly but indirectly by forcing shutdowns. And Amazon has a business that is great for when things are shut down. So, and of course, there's other ways they made money as well. So it depends on which way you're talking about, but obviously the rich getting richer during a crisis is sometimes directly and sometimes indirectly from the shutdown. And this is the way, Mandalorian. If you're talking about Ben ranting and raving is the way, please don't encourage him, folks. Please.
I think Okay, well, first of all, you brought me on the podcast knowing what you were going to get, so don't stifle me now.
Do I get to respond to any of your ranting and raving like a madman, or I got to take it?
I guess.
Just take it, podcast. Just take it, like this.
All right. What? Okay. So why is Trump in the right correct, and why is Biden the worst thing ever? Even though he hasn't actually even been in office yet, but that's neither here nor there.
47 years, but whatever. Don't want the facts. But let's. Okay. The only point I would make about all the things you say about Trump, okay, that's fine. Again, Biden. No, here's my problem. You get so frustrated at Trump, and it's like Biden walks around and says he had a scandal-free administration. Biden literally says he launches his campaign. He literally claims the reason he launches his campaign is on a lie. No. Let me finish. The thing that he says Trump said is literally a lie. His campaign is based upon a lie. I didn't vote for Trump. I didn't vote for Biden.
Look. No. Again, this is no. Okay,
Can I finish? Can I just finish? I don't think the senators or the congressmen care. That's the whole point, Ben. I don't think.
I'm trying to cut you. I'm trying to cut you off because you're doing it again. This is not. I'm not making a comment about the politicians. We agree about that. I'm talking about the new guy in the room. I'm not talking about like the way Washington has acted for the last 50 years. Because you're right. We agree about that.
So why are you so frustrated with him? They all act the same way. That's what I don't understand. That's what I don't understand.
That's the thing that I'm questioning. I'm baffled by how you can watch, and you're not alone in what you just said. So I'm baffled how people that think the way that you do can watch the way that Donald Trump has governed and watch the way the Republican Party has cowed to his every desire and think that is normal course of business.
Okay, I'm about to give it to you right now. This is why. I will prove my point. Eric Swalwell. Have we talked about this story offline?
No.
Okay, so you know the story. What happened?
It sounds familiar, but I forget.
He's the congressman from California who got busted with a California spy, right? Okay. The spy was with his group from 2011 to 2015. Okay. He is now on the U.S. House Intelligence Committee. Do you know what year he got put on the U.S. House Intelligence Committee, Ben? 2015. Do you know what year the FBI revealed to him and to Congress, all of Congress, that he was working with a Chinese spy? 2015. Do you know who said anything in 2015? Not a cotton-picking person. You know who's saying something now? The Republicans. The Republicans are now saying, you got to get him off. Pelosi said, we all knew about this in 2015. It's all a joke. They're all the same. It's all fraudulent. They didn't care in 2015. What? So they don't care. But no,
all right, let's move on to something else. This is what I'm talking about. We do this, and actually for the listeners, this is what we do off air too. This is like literally exactly. This is vintage. We should literally just make a phone call out of the podcast. But okay, what I'm getting at is exactly what you just said, but the reverse is it's standard operating procedure, and everybody knows that people lie, are shisty, they pull levers, all these things. That's not what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is it is not standard operating procedure for the people in sitting Congress to have seditious a desire to undermine the Constitution in an election, such as with the fact pattern laid out the way it is not normal for 117 or whatever Republicans to sign off on a lawsuit that, if you read the lawsuit doesn't even allege anything remotely, like it doesn't even allege things that the state is allowed to allege. Like it is so factually false and inaccurate, and just it's a pure PR move. You have something to say?
The intern, Solwell had an intern that the Chinese spy put on his staff, and no one ever reported on who the intern is. Like, she still could be on the staff, and we don't know. So
it's Hunter Biden.
Okay. Do you want to talk about Hunter Biden? Did you hear about the news over the weekend with Hunter Biden?
No, I want you to respond to what I just said.
I don't. Okay. For the listeners, please help us out here, because what Ben's saying, I'm like, yeah, I don't have any problem with what you're saying. I don't think you. Do you think these?
I don't understand how you think the weaponization of the right in the way that they have again the Republican action. Well, yeah, I don't know if actually I even need to restate it. I like. If you think that the way that the Republicans are acting now is SOP for how they've acted prior to 2016, I vehemently disagree. Let me say it that way. I'll just say that.
Just the Republicans or the political elite at large?
What did I say? Like,
I'm just making sure here. Because
the Republican Party.
Okay, so how they handled the Monica Lewinsky scandal back in the mid '90s?
I need more detail before I like. What do you mean?
I mean, I think that both sides, when they feel like there's blood in the water, they circle in whatever norms that we like to hold to. They don't really care about, and so
you're not gonna destroy an economy or kill people by getting blown under the Oval Office desk. I'm sorry, that doesn't no. It's not even close to the same thing. Not even remotely close.
Well, hold on. So, are you pro shutdowns? Is that your argument here? You just mad he didn't lock the country down? I'm trying to figure out your point.
Not at all.
You've lost me. So you said a minute ago he lied and he didn't respond to the information he had. So I'm saying, did you want him to shut down the economy? And you're mad he didn't. And so is that the frustration? You just compared Lewinsky to killing lives. I'm just trying to tease out the difference there, because I thought the point, just to be clear, I thought the point you're making is the Republicans stayed within the bounds historically, but now they didn't. And I don't think that's the case. And so I'm trying to figure out what's unique about. To me, this is all what they always do. That's what I don't understand. Like,
and that's the scary thing. The scary thing is that this sort of politics has somehow been branded as SOP, which it just isn't. I mean, like, let me say it this way: if you look at what the politicians themselves have been saying over the last 4 years, the overwhelming majority of the narrative has been shit's different around here. It hasn't been same bullshit, different day, right?
Yeah. So I'll say.
No, do you agree with that or not?
Well, I mean, yeah. So kind of depends, because over the weekend, news broke that Hunter Biden's been under investigation since 2018. Okay. And since 2018, what's happened is that Trump was on on trial for impeachment, right? Part of his trial was him talking to the Ukrainians about Hunter Biden. He was is under investigation. He was under investigation by our own government, and we impeached the president for talking to another country that our own government was actually investigating. So we impeached the president for asking about someone that our own country is investigating. Now, you could say that Trump was out of bounds. But my question to you, Ben, is why did we never say that Hunter Biden was under investigation during the election? No, we said the main thing told us that, and the Democrats, the intelligence officers, hey, listen, Hunter Biden, there's nothing here. That's the problem. That's everything that you said that they're doing about undermining democracy and all stuff. That's what the Democrats just did. That's what the Republicans do. They all do it. And
so for and Ryan, I mean this. All right, so I'm glad you said that, and so I'm gonna clarify because that's not the case. So I'm glad you brought that up. Actually, let me respond to that, and I'll go back. So the reason for people listening, the reason I seem frustrated is because what Ryan is doing, and this is true on brand, but what Ryan is doing by doing that, by laughing and kind of making a joke of it, is not actually like talking to the point that I'm trying to make. So this is a good example, and I'm sure people listening to this have had this experience because Ryan, and I'm faulty of this too. When someone says something that is political, an answer to that cannot be, oh well, yeah, but this thing over here is also happening, and you didn't talk about that. Because when I say Trump is doing this and the Republicans are doing this, and your response is, oh well, why weren't the Democrats talking about Hunter Biden in 2018? That's exactly what you're doing. It's like that's exactly what you're doing.
Let me tell you why I don't think it's what I'm doing. Just to be clear, you're saying that what Trump is doing is unique, and I'm saying no, it's not unique. Here's another example of why it's not unique. And
show me another administration where people in the administration during the administration have actively been vocal about the disorganization, actively been vocal about how garbage the administration is being run, actively been vocal about the dissent. I mean, tell me another administration that has seen the carousel of cabinet appointees. Show me another administration that had so many different cabinet positions just straight left empty. Now you can make a point that or you can make the argument, I suppose, that's like, oh well, he was just draining the swamp. Bullshit. He had all these posts and he couldn't fill them because he couldn't put people in the posts that could do the jobs. There were, if you look at the people that he put in the posts, there are a litany of examples of people that were wildly unqualified. There's a recent example. He put someone on a Holocaust. It's a Holocaust Preservation Council that is in charge of keeping the sites in Europe pristine and keeping them be able to be seen. He put someone that has put out explicitly neo-Nazi propaganda before. I mean, like what I'm talking about is the gross negligence of the administration. Now, and what's the Man what's his name? So I can we don't know. Okay, so Man United. So what I'd like to point out though, because I mean that's a really intense backdrop, is the counter argument to that, and the other piece of what I'm not saying, although I could speak ad nauseum about this, is that this push towards socialism and this push towards this egregious taking of rights with impunity and this. The interesting thing is that we've had a Republican president and Trump who is so fiercely First Amendment and so fierce about freedoms. He was the one in charge when the shutdowns happened, and he was the one in charge that fumbled the economic shutdown, then ramped back up. I mean, he was the one at the helm. Now, the counter argument to that is that, I mean, if you want me to talk about Dianne Feinstein and Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer, I mean, I can go down the list and I can rip them to shreds. I mean, so to Ryan's point, all politicians are garbage. They're all looking to line their own pockets. They're all hypocrites. They're all trying to take power from the people that they represent, and they're all trying to change the laws to their own benefit and to benefit the people that are around them. But again, that's not the point. That is the backdrop of politics. My point is, and maybe I'm wrong, and I'm happy to talk about this specific point, but I don't think that the dynamic that the Republicans have now entered into is the norm. I don't think it is what we have seen in the past. I don't think it is healthy.
To be clear.
Yes, from the Republicans. I don't think it's a healthy dynamic. I don't think it engenders trust, ability to compromise, any of those things. Now, the other side of that coin is that the Democrats, they make no bones about the fact that they have no interest in negotiating whatsoever. But they're also, I mean, they certainly have a very violent streak. I'm not making them seem passive by any means either.
This might help then. Is your frustration with it? So sometimes there's an old saying that you argue with your brother a lot tougher than you argue with someone across the world. That's not the saying, but that's kind of the idea. So is your frustration maybe poured out on the Republicans because you have more philosophical beliefs with the historic conservative party, and so you feel like they're losing you there? Because
it's branding and messaging. Because thank you. Here's what I think it is. What the right has figured out, and to their benefit, I mean, it's a smart ploy, although they're using it for nefarious purposes. But what the right has figured out is all you have to do is be super vocal and point fingers, and you get to control the narrative. And what the left doesn't understand is that in order to really play that game, they have to punch back. They can't just, I mean, like the CNNs and this, I mean, this sort of like wimpy kind of like this almost disinterest in having a dialogue doesn't help the left at all. This defund the police and these like all of these things are like they're talking points. They're not actually doing any good. You look like you want to say something. So I'll shut up for a second.
Well, I'm trying to understand. It's one of the things that I found interesting when I toured the country back a month or so ago was that two people in the room, they have a very vast interpretation of what's going on in the world, and I really struggle to understand why certain people view things to the point. So, I met some folks that were more progressives, and they would be like, the Republicans are mean. You meet some Trump supporters. The Democrats are mean. The media is this. The media is that. And I think that so from my perspective, if you look at what AOC says on Twitter, who has a very substantial voice in the Democratic Party, she is very much out there taking swings at people, and there's no hold bar. Is she as bad as Trump? Maybe you could say that's we can have that debate the other day, but she's no what I mean,
a castrated second year senator is can't even be compared to POTUS, but okay. I mean,
no. I'm saying, is she no? What I wouldn't say like, does she have the power? Obviously not. I'm saying, is she as aggressive as Trump? I think Trump's more aggressive, but she's pretty aggressive. We talk about taking people's money. That's pretty aggressive. I don't care what you are. Like that's an aggressive. That's a threat, right? Tax the rich is a threat against the rich. It just is. Whether you agree with the policy or not, you're threatening the rich. If they don't pay more money, or not paying them for sure, you're going to tax them more, right?
I think here. Let me change the conversation. Let me change the perspective or the framing. One of the things that I think about a lot is, and I'm not sure how much real world impact it actually has, and I don't think either one of us would know or be able to really articulate this. But I think one of the things that I think about consistently is what the rest of the world thinks when looking at these things. We have this platform, we have this pulpit of, we're supposed to be the place that people can look to for fair elections. I mean, fair elections should be like the first thing out of the fucking gate, right? This public discourse and the whole idea of freedom and democracy. And maybe I'm kidding myself with this narrative and these ideals, but like when other countries are looking at, other people are looking at, I mean, and you know this intimately because of your experience with China and Hong Kong. Our country is a beacon for these things, and for one side of the country, and for, right or wrong, agree or not, it is one side of the country right now is just throwing salt on the earth of the integrity of this nation for no with no fact.
Okay, so me and you agree on the election stuff. As my stance stands, I think Biden won. I'm happy to see evidence that there was fraud. Fraud went on. We talked about this before, but did it go on to the scale to change it? I haven't seen anything to change my mind. I'm open to seeing it. I just haven't seen it. So that's my stance on the election. It's been that. If you go back to my Twitter feed, I called the election for Biden the morning after the election before probably anyone else in the world did. So, and I'm not a Biden voter. I wouldn't vote for him if he's the only person running. So just to be clear. With that being said, and I had a really good point, and you started laughing and forget about it. What were you saying? Oh gosh, what were you saying? Oh, yeah. Okay, so with that being said, here's what I would say. I am sympathetic on some level when you have now Hunter Biden is under investigation and has been under investigation since 2018, when the media just literally told you for months that there was nothing to the Hunter Biden story. It was QAnon conspiracy, and there's nothing there. The Department of Justice deliberately did not lay that fact. When you have reporters who mocked Trump for saying, and I didn't think there'd be a vaccine by the end of the year. I was wrong about that. That mocked Trump, saying there is no chance. And weeks before the election, there was news about the vaccine trials were going poorly and how it wouldn't be out. And then a week and a half after election, boom, the vaccine's here. When you have, but see, here's the thing. What do you people
that face was only because like you're doing it again. Like all you're doing is justifying the action.
I'm not trying to justify anything. I'm saying you say you don't understand. I'm telling you how people could get to this conclusion. These are whatever you say about the election, whatever you think about the election, these are facts that the media denied. So if you know they denied these facts, why would you not think they would deny other facts? That's not a leap for anyone to believe, right?
Completely agree with everything you just said. My only response to that is, listen, if anybody listening to this or anybody on the planet is watching nationally syndicated news programs and taking them as fact, like, you've lost the battle already. Like, the media has proven to you that it has no interest in actually reporting anything even resembling fact. So that's yes, I completely agree with you on that.
So that's all I'm saying. And I think, as much as we like to talk about the lowering influence of the mainstream media, they still have a tremendous influence.
But I'm not talking. But so okay. And I think we're belaboring the point at this point. But let me say it this way: you're talking about like CNN, the CNN mouthpiece. You're talking about the CNN mouthpiece saying something completely patently false. That happens all the time. You're not going to hear me say anything about that. We can agree on that.
Now, I'm saying that Joe Biden on the debate stage said that 40 intelligence officers backed the claims that there is nothing to his son's international business dealings, and at the same time you have the media who agrees with him, and now it turns out that was all a lie. That's all a lie. That's 100%. He lied. The media covered for him. The DOJ didn't say anything. That is all a lie. Why do you want people to trust anything in the system? That's the problem. Why should they trust anything when the guy can get there and lie and no one calls him out?
Because Joe Biden lying on the campaign trail doesn't have the possibility of killing 250,000 people. And we can talk about the veracity of coronavirus, and we can talk about like the numbers, and we can talk about all these things. But when you have the press secretary standing up in front of the American people and talking about things that she knows to be patently false, I think that is a completely different hurdle than Joe Biden on the campaign trail bullshitting about something he knows.
No, it's the presidential debate between him and Trump.
I mean, when he's debating, but he's on the campaign trail when he's debating, is he not? I mean,
I just make sure I was clear. It wasn't like a speech that he was out there just randomly giving. And those debates, quote, have fact checks. All I'm saying is that if you want the American people to trust the process, to trust Trump or to trust Biden or to trust any of this, you have to do a better job. Not that you can't do it, I can't do it. I'm saying, but there has to be some that's holding them accountable, and that's not there.
On one hand, if I have Joe Biden in a debate talking about, okay, all right, I'll respond to that too. Okay. If on one hand I have Joe Biden talking about or denying that he knows anything about Hunter Biden, and then in the other hand I have
he's denying it backed by 40 intelligence officers. So this is the CIA, FBI. He said that he has 40 people that are saying this is Russian disinformation. So it's intelligence community that's backing his claim as his claim, right?
Yeah. Yes. That just all. So that fact pattern, whatever it may be, and the president standing up in front, the president, not even one of his mouthpieces, the president standing up in front of the American people and espousing how garbage the science that the CDC has been espousing is. I'm going to have more of a problem with Trump trashing the supposed preeminent science organization in this country. Now you can talk about if the CDC is maybe lying in their pocket. You can talk about these things, but apples to apples, yes, I think it engenders substantially more nefarious intent when the president talks about those things than when Joe Biden, I'll even call it for what it is. Joe Biden lies his ass off and lies through his teeth at a debate. That to me is irrelevant compared to the other.
So maybe because I know we're getting close down. Let's put it like this. I think part of your frustration is because Trump is in the White House when he says stuff. It just what? No. I'm saying if Biden was in the White House and Trump's on the campaign trail, you wouldn't have you'd be saying the same thing about Biden. Your frustration is that Trump is in the White House. So it's not right. So when Biden takes office in 2 months and he says that Hunter Biden, nothing's wrong with Hunter Biden, you will have the same vitriol.
Oh, like for the people listening today, please listen in February and March because I'm going to come at the guy in office too. This is not.
I think now that we've talked through, I think maybe that's the thing is that you're more focused on the person in power with the most power than you are the people who have less power.
We have lost this. So actually, this is a really good point because I think one of the other things that we've actually talked about this last week. We talked about last week how it amazes me that a staunch support group of a staunch support group of Trump and
go ahead.
Yeah, don't get me started. Don't get me started on the Red Cross. Don't get me started. Don't get me started.
It's up here. Agreed.
I don't remember I don't remember where I was gonna go with that because oh my lord, that got me riled up. What was I about to say?
I don't know. Nothing relevant
here. Nothing important. Nothing important.
It's been a good show. Let me just say this. Ben's one of my best friends. And so he wrote me a lovely review on LinkedIn this morning. And so
did you post it yet? Is it actually live yet?
I posted it. I didn't frame it like my Carol Baskin card, but
that thing's just beautiful.
It is beautiful. But I think that, and I think this is, I'll put this up here. I think this point is that if he lies in the campaign office to the degree he lies, then he's going to lie in office. I think a lot of Trump supporters would say that that's the problem with what you're articulating.
So actually, okay, let me try something else. Let me pull you onto my side, and I'm gonna have you and I try to problem solve this together, because I think the problem is that what I've been saying to you. And apparently the listeners are hearing it the same way. So I think everyone, both you and I and everyone listening to this as a baseline, actually, let's walk through this step by step.
Yeah.
You agree with me that all politicians are hypocrites?
100%.
All politicians lie to line their own pockets and for their own benefit?
100%. All
right. Agree that there are shady deals that happen all the time.
Shady. You said shady and stopped. Shady.
All these things. Yes, right?
Yes.
Agree with me that in order to be powerful and in order to make it in politics, you got to be shady and you got to do these things. Yes?
Yes.
Okay. So really important. No, those are what maybe some people listening would think are big concessions, but that is axiomatic to the rest of my argument. Those things don't go away. Now, the next step in the process is, so you can point to, like, if we went administration by administration, I don't think, well, I think it would bear out what I'm about to say. I'm not positive, but I think it would. If we went administration by administration, so when you look at the George Bush Sr., I don't know how many people actually know the story of how he set up that that kid with the drugs, and the kid got caught with the drugs. Turned out that he was totally set up, but that was sort of the catalyst for the entire war on drugs fiasco that ran rampant throughout his presidency. Like, the entire thing was manufactured. I mean, there are egregious things
and
that you can point to.
Probably killed more lives than COVID will.
Infinitely more, and COVID will probably never catch up to it, right? So again, this is not a commentary. Like, what I'm not saying is, U.S. politics has been rosy ever since Trump, and fuck him because he's just torn the institution down. What I am saying is, Trump. Let me say it a different way. Unlike other politicians, and this actually goes across borders too. Unlike other politicians that I've seen, and I've studied quite a few, and I know you have as well, I don't know in America if I have seen another president who gets off on the divisiveness and the inflammatory nature of the policy decisions and the information dissemination platform chosen at all times. It seems as though he enjoys the limelight to the detriment of the people that he's servicing. And I think that's really the problem that I have at the core.
Okay. So I'll say this, and maybe we can agree or not. We can wrap up this, I think. But so I think you're right about how Trump enjoys the divisiveness on some level. I think where you're missing it is, I think Obama and Bush and all these other guys before him, They just knew that they played it a certain way and they pretended not to be divisive, but they didn't care. So Obama, listen, Obama, you want to talk about some of the stuff. If you like your doctor, you can keep your doctor. We're going to have shovel-ready jobs. He would say all kinds of stuff that was patently false and he knew it, but he didn't have to deal with the blowback repeatedly like Trump does. Trump brought a lot of it on himself. That's a given. But Obama would say stuff that would be deliberately targeting certain people over others. He wants their votes. They do it in a way that was spoon-fed. And to the point earlier about the rich getting rich and the poor getting poor, that's what led Trump, I think, to 2016 was people realized that the rich are getting richer, the poor are staying poor, and Obama and Bush and Clinton and Gore and all these guys, they're all speaking like they care, but they really don't. And so Trump is a departure from that, and you get all of these things that you're frustrated with, which you're right. Does that make sense?
Completely agree with you. I think the problem is the and this is going to sound bad, but I don't know how to make this sound any better than it's going to. The weaponization of middle America, because this is, in a lot of ways, it's the exact same thing that Hitler did. It's the weaponization of a movement of a people that feel like they have been disserved and underserved. And now those people have this true, like, valid anger, and that anger doesn't have anywhere to go. And I think that that's something that you're seeing sort of like across social media and across communities. The problem here's where I really think the issue is. I don't think it's just a political issue. Like, I think the 6-year-old on the playground is more apt to bully the 4-year-old because of the model that he's seeing on everywhere around him. I think the uneducated 16-year-old might be physically abusive to the little cousin because he doesn't know any better, because, oh, well, the president abuses people, so what does it matter? I think it's a tearing down. And again, these are
I know what you're saying. I think what middle Americans would say is that it was happening. It just wasn't getting the same attention. I'm not trying to justify any of it.
You're exactly right. Yes.
So,
100%.
Look, here we go. This is why podcasts and shows like you guys are doing are heavily needed to keep the spin neutral. I do one with Wriglings on LinkedIn Thursday at 10 a.m. So be sure to check that out. It's called Overtime. You can get that on podcast as well. Ben, I know we're up against the clock. It's been an hour. It's been fun. Let me just say this for all the listeners out there. Let me just say this. This is important. When I first met Ben, thanks Brian Mod for screwing my life up, but whatever. When I first met Ben, I offered to buy him. I was told Ben was an important person. You need to get to know him. Yada 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 from Brian Mon. Thanks, Brian Mon, for ruining my life. And so I thought, you know what? Let me offer this guy, this important VIP, some baseball tickets. So I take him to the Pirates Rangers game in Arlington. And so we go and we're talking, and Ben's talking, and so I always make it pretty clear up front. I'm a libertarian, free market capitalist. Don't try to hide that. And well, look at that listener. And anyways, and Ben says, I don't like to talk politics, but since you gave me the fairway, and he goes through some empty platitudes about, this, that, and the other. Fast forward to the end of 2020, and he's full bore. Let's light it up. Here we go. So, Ben, you have grown for better or worse. You are now openly talking politics, whereas you wouldn't even talk to them on a first business date with me back in Arlington Globe Life Field Park, whatever place is called, in 2019. So there it is.
So I don't think anyone's going to believe this, but I promise this is true. Ryan is the only person I talk politics with, period. And somehow I'm now doing it on air, it's probably just Ryan listening also. But still, I mean, actually, no, there was at least one or two other people that
yeah. No, it's fact.
So you know what? It's days like today and podcasts like this that make me thankful I don't have an employer I have to be worried about getting fired by.
Yeah. Oh, if I gotta get a job, we're deleting all these.
This is not good. Yeah. Burn it to the ground. Destroy the archives.
Oh, it's good. People have often told us that more than one, your dad probably leading the charge, that we should have our conversations on public forums. And so here they are. These are our conversations. This is basically a Ryan and Ben phone call.
It really is. Like the first couple, I think we were trying to play for the air. This one, we literally could have done this on the phone, and it would have been the exact same.
So, anyways, if you like the show, it is on YouTube, Facebook, and Periscope. And so, yeah,
we should make like a Don't Let the Facts OnlyFans. I feel like that's on brand.
If the communists at LinkedIn Live will let us go, we'll put it there. We don't have the LinkedIn Live yet, so we'll eventually be on LinkedIn. But I am on LinkedIn Live with my boy over at Riglinks, Greg, and so Thursdays at 10. And so, anyways, that's been.
How did Greg? Well, hold on before we cut off. How did Greg get the hookup? What's that about?
He has it. It's on his platform. Greg's a VIP. He's a boss like that.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, I mean, how do we get some of that pixie dust over here?
You got to be cool like Greg. Obviously, Riglinks. Check them out. I don't know if you know, Riglinks is a pretty cool app. It's the number one oil and gas. What? God, I should have cut the show 3 minutes sooner. It started.
I mean, why don't we just change Ben to the host, and then Ryan can come on as a guest? We'll just really flip it on its head, see what happens.
Oh gracious! Yeah. So Greg and I started with a 30-minute show. The first time we went for an hour. The second time we scheduled for an hour. We went for an hour and 10, hour and 15. The common thread about going along is me, so maybe it's a me problem. But
Well, wait, hold on. Actually, I want to talk about this. So, Greg, offline, we can ignore Ryan. But whenever I have a podcast with him, if it's scheduled for like 45 minutes, we cut off at like 43. If it's scheduled for 30, we cut off at like 27 and a half. How did you get him to go over? I need to take notes. We'll talk.
Hey, Greg, when you contact Ben, please send him the rundown that you send me for the show. It's really professional. It's really top class. I would appreciate that. Ben calls me up at like 9 o'clock. I'm having coffee. Like, hey, what are we talking about for the day? So, I appreciate working with you, a true professional.
Wow. What? Don't let the facts.
Don't let the facts. We'll that. We'll that. So, Band United, thanks always. Good to see you, buddy. Hear from Greg. Took me 4 applications and a ton of public mocking to get the live. All right. Ben,